An Australia without rugby league is not Australia.
You're going to give us time.
Yeah.
Stephen, no time.
Rugby league has been a fabric of our society for hundreds of years. It's people's escape, it's people's relaxation, and we need to do everything in order to continue that great tradition of rugby league.
It has been those Australians who have worked hard every day. They have their dreams, they have their aspirations. These are the quiet Australians who have won a great victory tonight.
Good afternoon, gents. Well, look, I can't go quietly anymore. I haven't won a victory. The Dragons are out. I know the Tigers are now at Canberra, still fighting for a good position.
Still fighting for top four.
Dennis Carnahan, welcome. Chris Gale, good welcome. And today's special guest, Pat, good afternoon to you. How you doing?
I'm doing really well, thanks.
You want to do a little bit more of an elaborate introduction, and then we'll get talking to Pat a little later in the show, yeah?
Well, we are very... By the way, the Tigers are still a mathematical possibility, Stephen.
Yeah, are they just?
Yes.
Of 9th or 8th.
So we have with us in the studio today Pat Richards. And I don't want to embarrass you, Pat, other than to say that you played NRL for Parramatta, West Tigers on 3 occasions, if you're actually being strictly accurate.
This is 3 games.
No. Came back and played for the Nines in 2019. The Wigan Warriors and the Catalans Dragons. You've had grand final wins for the Tigers in 2005. Super League grand final wins for Wigan in 2010, 2013, plus 2 Challenge Cups. Is there anything you haven't done? You're a man of steel.
Man
Pat
of
Richards,
steel. You're
welcome to
keep that one
Fire
in
Ups Quiet Australia.
Oh, thanks for being here. It's a fair intro.
So you have tasted victory.
I have, yeah.
Many
Very,
times.
very lucky, I suppose.
Is
You
it
when you look
addictive?
back, 100%. It's what you dream of as a kid. You watch grand final day. There's always barbecues going around, and you just envision yourself out there and to do it.
I would
I'd be
imagine
lucky
then
enough to do it.
You would have then sympathy, if not general support, for someone like Tedesco leaving for the Roosters to get a premiership.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I'm very happy for Teddy. He's such a great kid. He was with us. Obviously, you don't want to lose someone like that, but you want him to go on and do well, and he's won back-to-back titles. And
There is a common link here, by the way, you know.
Tell me.
Back in 2004 and 2005, I was Pat's player sponsor, grand final winner,
Yes, you were also the sponsor for...
James Tedesco.
Yes.
Now, albeit he won it with the Sydney Roosters, but, you know,
Yes.
there is that common link, I
Sort of
think.
shows you how much pull you have, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really need to. I mean, look, I'm speaking as a fan. Pat's obviously on the inside of the circle, so to speak. I know that you do some work for the front office at the West Tigers, but the notion that players don't have any loyalty anymore is pretty strong, isn't it? And it does disturb a lot of people. I know Volandis wants to keep some of that loyalty from fans with players. I don't know how it's done because it's a free market now. Anybody can go wherever they want to go. But there's a few things that irritate me. One is losing. No doubt about that.
You must be irritated a lot being a St George
It's been
Illawarra
a whole
fan.
decade, you know that, don't you? You know, I sit on the phone with a Snapchat, whatever group, just going, basically, you know, growling in venom every minute.
It is one of the things that worries me. We've got these little props, and people watching the video will see in the middle of the table, and there's a dragon there. It holds the ball the whole game. It never drops it. We know that's not real.
Doesn't get over the try line, though, does it? Look, and you know, I think that the rugby league is built on the support of the underdog, you know, and I think that whenever I watch a team, I've told you many times, if you want to bet on a team, bet on the team that I'm not following, because I always pick the underdog, and they always lose inevitably. The notion, though, that some teams become entitled, a little bit smug, a little bit sort of cocky, and I would put the Roosters, who even aren't at number 1, Penrith aren't so cocky, I don't think. The Roosters are entitled, they're smug, and they're very cocky.
Chris thinks that Penrith are very cocky.
Does he?
Chris believes they are. Ivan Cleary
is cocky.
Blowing kisses to the crowd,
yes.
pointing to the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Would you say that was cocky, Chris?
But that's not the kids at Penrith's fault, though. Though, Pat, it has been pointed out that Penrith hasn't played a game yet this season where there could be no game next week. In other words, when they get to the playoffs, the swagger and the confidence of youth, can you see it going all the way?
Well, I reckon you look at a team like that, and I go back to 05, we were a very tight group, and you can see that with them. They've played a lot of junior footy together. They've got some X-factor players in Kikau. Crichton's a gun. Cleary's stepping up.
Yeah.
They've got the makings of a team that can go all the way, but they don't have the experience in those big games like the Roosters and the Storm do. But I definitely can see them going pretty far. They'll be challenging.
This
for sure.
is the same year, 2005, where you dumped the Dragons out of the semi-finals.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
I think I had a disabled West Tigers supporter woman screaming at me the whole time in absolute delight watching the Dragons go down. I remember that very, very
that was
clearly.
a great night. Let's talk about that.
If you go back to the footage, and I have many times, it was indelibly imprinted on my mind as Brett Hodgson, the fullback, running onto the, let's call it what it's like Dennis likes to call it, Sydney Football Stadium.
Because you can't remember what it was there. It always will be the Sydney Footy Stadium.
And you couldn't wipe the
VSFS.
smile off his face.
Yes.
Then Trent Barrett and your boys come out. They look like they're at a funeral. I mean,
They were.
Did you get that sense from the get-go that there was a lot of pressure on the Dragons as there was on the Eels the following day against the Cowboys to win, and you guys was just, how good is this?
Well, yeah, I mean, going back to that Dragon side, that was a fair side. They had a lot of good players in that team. A lot of people said they were the favourites, but inside our dressing room,
You didn't
I've
believe
never been more confident in the game.
okay.
We just played like that.
Yeah.
We were sort of brothers and just riding the wave, and we played like that too.
How confident were you at halftime after you'd hurt yourself?
Oh, that was terrible. But
What happened? Tell me. Just.
Well, Pat was there. He might be able to tell you.
Yeah, please.
so a couple of minutes before half time, I got the ball and I sort of skipped infield. Lance Thompson, Trent Barrett sort of bumped into both of them. And I looked to get an offload away, and then I think Lance Thompson went to drag me down this way, and Trent had me the other way. And as I flicked it, my sort of ankle went.
Oh.
And about 18 months prior, I dislocated that ankle.
Right.
And I just heard
Is
a
it
crunch.
bone or tendon?
Or bursa.
I broke the fibula and I dislocated the ankle, so the ligaments went. So that was 18 months ago, and I heard a noise and it was bad pain.
Right.
So that was my night
Sorry,
done.
now I've got to ask this question. The difference between a ligament and a tendon, what holds the whole thing together?
Well, the ligaments hold.
They're like a string, aren't they?
They hold everything
Cables and
together.
pulleys.
The tendons
Yeah,
hold.
right.
The muscles. I don't know. I'm not
Yeah.
really a doctor.
Tendons
Lots of
hold
stuff.
muscle to the bone. Ligaments hold bones together.
I love
Cartilage
this stuff.
separate them.
Yeah, right.
Anyway,
right.
you don't want to hear any noises when you're twisting your ankle.
no.
That's for sure.
Now, Pat, I once did that at touch footy, right? That's how grand I am. I rolled straight over at a pitch up at the Centennial Park above the reservoir, and I heard everything go, bones and things and shit.
Oh.
And I remember lying on the ground, and for a very small moment, whatever it is, the endorphins and the adrenaline and all the stuff that stops you from feeling pain kicked in, and you would know more about this than I would, many times over, and I felt absolutely glorious. I thought, just don't touch me, and I'll lie here forever, and I feel great. And then, of course, they moved me, not so good.
Yeah, I don't know if I felt glorious, but I sort of know what you mean. It's a crazy feeling. You're in a bit of a shock and whatnot. But going back to that was 5 minutes before half time. I knew my night was over. Massive game.
And you're over.
But our boys just rallied away and we got the job done. Dean Hallertau played.
Well,
Can I just
the game
talk
of his
about
life.
2010, and we were there. I was sitting next to Barry O'Farrell, who was going for the West Tigers, and I was going for the Dragons, and I think Benji did a wobbly kick about 4 minutes before the finish, and see you later, Tigers. So I guess it swings and roundabouts.
Wasn't
isn't
it Bo Ryan kicking on the first tackle? Wasn't that 2010?
Yeah,
you got the ball.
Jamie Sowell kicked a field goal, but Pat wasn't there. And I mean,
Pat was,
in the second
was
segment, we're
winning
going
Man
to
of
go.
Steel then. He wasn't there.
In the second segment, we're going to go focus more on
will,
Pat and
we
your
will.
career. But just hold that thought about that might have been game over,
Yeah.
but it wasn't season over. And we're going to come back because that's
Yes.
something I definitely want to talk to Pat about and the experience that you went through to get there to the GF
And
in
in
2005.
in deference, I'll say that the West Tigers are my second favourite team.
Thank you, Stephen. In deference,
about the
to you,
Warriors?
St George Illawarra is not my second favourite.
No, well, I can wear that. It's my father's team, so I'll go with it. So anyway, bring us back to the Roosters. Of course, what do we get? We get a full-page article in the Herald this week, owned by the Channel 9 Corporation. I should say right here and now. Nothing wrong with that. But we've often talked about the connections, and we've talked about the Kithra connection. Nick Politis, Volandis from the island of Kithra in
Nick
Greece.
Pappas is
Nick Pappas?
he's not from Kithra, but he's
No.
definitely the
That's
the
why he's second tier,
unspoken
Chris.
measure, the South's chairman, of erstwhile chairman, yeah.
Right, and then we've seen like a full article about how Sonny Bill didn't go to training and wasn't seen at training. I'm thinking, wow, a full page of this, what's going on here? I'm reading for the detail. Nope, he was having a special training session somewhere else, the global superstar, international icon, come to sort of, visit us and pass out some fairy dust, for all of
But
us.
we're not worthy of having him train with us. That's what the Roosters are saying. Robbo's saying,
Special training, yeah. And then we go back to another article where Sonny Bill, of course, they call it the Sonny Bill Williams rule, where it's an unspoken, it's not even written down, Chris, I believe. It's not even chiseled in stone like the Ten Commandments, where you can pull him in and above the salary cap, all of the costs associated with moving him here are covered. Now, we could break that down if you like.
Well, I'm happy
Please.
to have a crack.
I'd love to break it down. Hey, so this is
The
not included.
relocation rules, so to speak.
So, Pat, have you been a big fan of Peter Volandi's work this season?
Oh, I think he's done a fantastic job.
It's
Okay,
just
so-
great watching the trepidation growing on Pat's face as he's listening to the content going, oh,
Yes.
no.
What are you
Oh,
going to ask me here?
About many years ago on Friday, we actually had David Gallup appear. And off air he said, how long do I have to talk for again? I said, well, we're here for an hour. He goes, oh, God. You know, and then we'd ask him a question and he'd just sort of look at us like, really? Really? You want me to answer that? You know, that was his position.
So Peter Volandis, who we just simply refer to here as the Overlord, he tends to have a penchant for making rules on the run. None more clear.
For the good of the game, Chris.
No more clarion call clear than the 6 again. Woo! That siren that just drives me crazy, the oven bell. But one of the issues that bubbled to the surface was the demise of the Toronto Wolfpack in the short term in the Super League. And Pat, you'd be all across that, having been Man of Steel, etc., etc. Super League, almost born and bred. And so he said it would be unfair for those players who were contracted to Toronto to fall foul of the rule that is that you can't be
Because they no
contracted
longer
to
have
two
a job,
organisations
right?
because they haven't got a job.
Yeah, okay.
Right, so they created the 2 contract rule to stop, I guess, like I think it was like Benji going to play rugby union in Japan and all those sorts of things. And so there's a long list of players who were subject to that 2 contract issue.
Yes.
None of whom have come back except for Sonny Bill Williams.
Just to correct, well, not to correct, to ask you a question about this. When a business or a club like Toronto go into bankruptcy or liquidation, what did
The owner just says, I can't pay the bills.
can't pay the bills? So surely that all contracts are dead.
You'd have
At
to
that-
you'd have to ask the Newcastle Knights about this. It sounds very much like Nathan Tinkler to me, but
Okay.
all
right.
And he's saying I might be able to pay the bills in the future, but right now, if Super League rebooted, which it now has,
We want you back.
there's no Wolfpack playing, correct?
No, they're not.
They're done.
So that enabled this exemption to be made in these uncharted waters, this unprecedented time,
Money spent outside salary cap.
for Sonny Bill to be brought back to
Yeah.
Australia.
Now, there's Sonny Bill,
Yes,
his good wife, 4 kids.
the 4 kids.
I imagine business class or first. That surely that breaks the 10,000 rule already.
Well-
or limit.
Are you aware of the 10,000 rule, Pat? Have you heard about the soft 10,000 relocation
I've
rule?
heard something about that, but
So-
surely for each player is
It
different.
doesn't really exist.
It doesn't really exist.
I don't think it really exists, does it?
I mean, to get someone with family over, flights are how expensive they are and whatnot.
Yes, exactly. So, we got the airfares.
So the unwritten rule says that
Yeah.
in order to relocate a player in these circumstances, the club can spend approximately $10,000.
Right, okay.
Right. Okay.
No
So,
one's tapped into that yet, have they?
so we've got the extended Williams family coming back, first class. So what's that? 30?
Yeah, there's 30 straight off the bat, right? So we've gone overs already. Then there's the Bentley Coupe that was at the airport to pick him up,
Which he's now driving.
which he's now driving. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's the Bentley Coupe. Then there's the luxury Harbour View apartment, 2 levels.
This is at Graceland Apartments.
Graceland apartment.
Graceland
that's right,
Apartments in Pitt Street.
Pitt Street.
Yeah, and I think they go for about 5K a night, I think.
Yeah, they
A
weren't allowed-
night.
Yes, a night. They weren't allowed to shop, of course, because they were in isolation.
But they had no choice.
So meals were delivered. We mentioned this before. Tetsuyas.
Tetsuya's was
Yeah.
brought in.
Bills for breakfast.
you
Did
got bills for
Tetsuya's
breakfast.
bring it in with meal, course by course?
Because there's only 36 courses, you know that,
Can
don't
you
you?
do?
Yeah.
Can you do degustation menu log? Can
Is
you
it
do that?
36 separate
Yeah.
Uber drivers
Yeah.
that come along?
Now,
with
if you look
menu log?
closely at the front door, there was a tailor was brought in because he needed some new clothes, right? He had to get the activewear, the
Some new
leisure wear. I don't know
threads,
if he
yep.
had the Burgeye 4B label coming.
Yeah, you need your active wear and your leisure wear because you've got the home gym to train.
Right.
And he actually had that dummy, that sort of showroom dummy that he was doing tackling practice on. That would have cost a pretty penny.
Toys for the kiddies.
Individually selected by Peter Volandis, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair
And then there's a miscellaneous issue.
Yeah.
And this has come to light this week at the special training session and at all Roosters training sessions. Sonny Bill turns up with an old school pen and pad, and he takes notes.
Right.
Right. None of the modern.
No iPad.
No modern finagle stuff. So.
So he's looking at whatever Robbo's got on the overhead projector, and
Yeah.
he's taking.
So there's a
Very
generic
nice.
thing marked Office Works for Sonny Bill. So I think under the cap, he's for the 4 games he's playing in the regular season, about 150K. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the number they're
Yeah.
throwing out.
And I think you'll find that the relocation cost was about 150K as well. So,
Okay.
Right,
yeah.
So he's not earning any money. He's doing it through charity.
but it is a big comeback, Steve. And this
Yes,
is
yes.
an as Peter Volandis says, he's an entertainer.
Yeah.
Who does this remind us of?
Oh, well, Elvis did the big comeback.
The 1968 comeback
Come
special.
on. Does it get any bigger? And that's what Volandis is actually playing on with Channel 9. And, of course, Gus Gould's part of this sort of little cabal of influencers who really want entertainment. They want numbers. They've done a great job, you know. And, of course, I think that as you're right, will Sonny Bill come next weekend? Everybody will be waiting on Channel 9. They won't announce it. Is he there? Is he there? The smoke will clear. No, he's not there. Next week, we'll try it again. And all week we'll get promos. We'll get the footy show. It'll be just Sonny Bill. And then you'll get... You know, the Morris kiddies. How great is it? They're twins and they're so old and they're just playing the best form ever. Were they even the Dragons? No, they weren't the Dragons. Were anybody else Canterbury? No, they didn't play for anybody else. They're just the Morris kiddies. And just like the rest of the Roosters, we need to bow down and scrape. And
Are you not thrilled about Sonny Bill coming back?
I can't wait for him to be smashed. I reckon. What do you reckon, Pat? Do you reckon? He's going to do it tough, isn't he?
No, people keep saying that, and I think last time when he did come back, I was one of them and said, nah, he's going to take a while. He can't do it.
How long ago was that?
Well, that was when he came back was 2014.
13.
So he's had more comebacks than Elvis Presley.
So
John Farnham.
I came back from the Super League in 14 and played against him, and mate, he was unreal.
How does he look compared to you?
He's a bit taller than me.
Taller, yeah.
I think he's a bit taller and a little bit thicker.
A little bit thicker.
Yeah, he's
So
an
he packs a
athlete.
wallop, does he?
He's an athlete.
He's an athlete.
Look, they're not going to play him for too long. I'd say 15, 20 minutes max. So they'll look after him. And if you're playing in a good defensive system,
Yes.
he's not going to get isolated too much.
Yeah.
So
Is he going to be like a number 17? Are they going to bring him in the back end of the game, or do you think they'll give him like a run each half, or how will it work?
probably either side at half time.
Yeah.
They'll just use him.
How long do you reckon he'll be on field for?
I wouldn't say any longer than 15, 20 minutes.
See, because, you know, the American trilogy, Elvis, if they put that on when he starts, that's about 9 minutes long.
Right.
What do you reckon? And that'll do us.
Well,
Cape off.
I mean, obviously, Dennis, they're playing at GIO Stadium,
They're
your
playing that.
stadium,
Well,
and the
obviously
club has already reached out to breach the COVID rules, right?
Well, they've raised it from 2,500 to 3,000. The ACT government has given an extra 500 tickets.
Is
to
that all
members.
they've given?
That's all they've given. So the Raiders were hoping for 12 for half to get half capacity, but they've got a tenth instead of half. But I think if you have a look at the draw, this plan has obviously been in place for a long time because we know that the Raiders. Saturday night is the home of the Raiders because that's nowhere near Channel 9. So they're playing a Raiders game.
Yeah, the outsiders.
In fact, the Roosters' next 3 games are all Saturday night, 7:30.
Okay.
Which is it's lovely to have it once a week and not have to have 5-day
Now,
turnarounds
how
and
many
stuff.
days what's your turnaround?
Nothing.
5,
It's a
I
shock.
think.
I can't even think about the turnaround. It's going to get me too upset. But
Yeah.
they play the Bunny Rabbits on the last Friday of the season.
Right.
And funnily enough, that's going to be the Friday night. That's going to be the Channel 9 game. So Channel 9 has gone. We'll let him. When Big Benny Teo came back from playing rugby for England, obviously Big Benny, the Samoan New Zealander who played for Queensland, somehow, and England, he's come back to the Broncos. He came back exactly that. Did about 10 minutes either side of half time. Next game was 15. Now he's starting. So he took 4 games to start. So Sonny Bill, by the 4th week, he'll be ready for Channel 9 to play against the Bunnies.
Right. So it's a major fairy tale.
So this is
in the making.
This is calculated, right? Yeah. So everyone at some level watched The Last Dance, I'm assuming, the Jordan documentary. When Jordan came back and Scotty Pittman held up his boot,
have you watched it, Pat?
Oh, I loved it.
Awesome. They were smart, the Bulls. His first game back was not in Chicago in the United Center. It was a game against Indiana. You know, I think it was called the Conseco Fieldhouse, something like that. And that was because they wanted him to get acclimatized in a small media market where no one would really be watching.
Sure.
Hence,
common showbiz trick.
Hence Canberra in front of 3,000 people.
And hence,
no one's watching.
Because the bar government would have allowed more, except they've said, Sonny Bill's coming in. Can you just keep it a bit
Just
tight?
keep it
just
low,
in case. We don't want all our friends to
So
be there.
are we
We're
being
just...
played? That's the question.
Oh, God,
Are we being played, you know?
How long have you followed rugby league? Of course you're being played.
Gus Gould, Volandis, Politis, you know, Robbo's just dishing out the Mount Kilimanjaro speech left, right and centre.
Tomorrow's
and we're all
game
going,
day.
UT, Sonny Bill can't wait.
There are no excuses on game day.
Yeah.
But don't write off the possibility that, like after the Broncos-Roosters game, Channel 9 ran an exclusive with Metallica from SMN2.
Yes.
That at the end at GIO Stadium, Sonny Bill will come out onto the stage in the black leathers, Heartbreak Hotel.
Yeah.
What a great way for SBW to come, because as Peter V'landys says, he's a marketing machine.
And there'll be a DVD of it straight off.
Oh, terrific.
It's already made.
And therefore
DVD's already been
Penrith
pressed.
this year's Canberra, you know, the poor Patsy that goes right to the grand final, everyone wants him to win.
Only to be
Wow.
beaten by Sonny Bill Williams.
Hey?
Absolutely.
Is that what's going to happen?
Yeah, what do you think, Pat? Who do you think's going to be there?
I think the Roosters will be very hard to beat again. Melbourne are firming as well. They got the boys back, and they
Even
never
without
have
No,
bad
they've got the
game, do
Cams
they?
back. The Cams are all back.
Yeah.
I think there are only 3 teams that can probably win it. I don't know if Parramatta can do it now. Maybe they'll get a reality check from that loss last week, and they might firm
That's
them
a
up.
hell of a reality check. I would have thought the Rabbits. We've got Redfern Pat over here, who's a staunch Rabbit supporter.
Yeah.
The Rabbits have officially become my Smoky, and I mean, obviously, bad news to lose Latrell, but it seems to me like you're probably your 2 best active players at the moment, at least back this week, Luke Keary and Nathan Cleary. But they're about a halves pairing going right now than Reynolds and Walker. And if Souths go, they could.
The problem the Rabbits have is the same as the Panthers have. If you watch them play, you watch the way the players get on, they play with joy. And rugby league is not about joy. It's about disappointment and hate. Now, obviously, the Tigers in 05, Pat was saying they played with joy. Yeah. That's once a century, a team that plays with joy. And normally it's the dour, miserable Storm holding people down. That's what wins rugby league.
Is that how the Dragons did it for 11 years?
That's how the Dragons did it for 11 years. They did. The Dragons would accept the kickoff.
Boom, boom, boom.
But they didn't hold the ball. They'd kick the ball back to the opposition because when the opposition has the ball, they could belt them.
Yes, that's
and
right.
they belt them. They drove them into the ground.
2005, in 2006, that's when Storm started. And they've been going ever since.
Yeah.
Relentless.
It's a different way to play footy, and you look back at like 05. We played a great, exciting brand of footy, and Benji was young.
And so did the Cowboys.
Hodgson was.
So did the other
right.
grand finalists.
It was just a different way of playing footy back then. Now everyone looks at the Storm as the blueprint, and that's what they think.
The
Let's
purple
wrestle
print.
and whatnot.
So you're with us, Pat. Essentially, the Storm have ruined rugby league. Is that right?
There's your headline.
We're saying it.
And then Volandis brings in
Yeah.
things like the 6 again rule, right, to open it up and make it more entertaining. And who do we think we're going to get in the grand final? The Roosters.
Yeah, we're going to come back in a minute and talk to Pat Richards. We want to lift the veil back a little bit. I want to find out people that you really, really were pissed off with, didn't like. Maybe you had a running fight with, just some drama.
Maybe
behind
still
the scenes,
do.
right? Yeah, back in just a moment here. Fire up the Quiet Australian.
And now it's time for the latest instalment of The Life and Times of Gus Gould.
Winger to winger, in the in goal. You're 2 points in front with a minute to go. I love rugby league. I absolutely love rugby league.
That was the latest instalment of The Life and Times of Gus Gould.
Welcome back to Fire Up's Quiet Australia, where we represent the thoughts, hopes and dreams of all those quiet Australians who have been pretty quiet this year with lockdowns and things like that. We believe that the salvation, the entertainment, the thing that they need is rugby league. And I'm here with Stephen Ferris and Dennis Carnahan every week. But we're really thrilled to have, amongst many other things, but best described as West Tigers legend, Pat Richards with us.
Yes, yes. And he's promised that back in the laneway, we're going to get an example of what it feels like to be tackled by an actual footy player, right? I often reckon they should have a wild card where one fan every week can win and they sign off their insurance claim and they go out in the field for 2 minutes and get hit. And hit very hard, and the crowd would just go nuts for it.
No one's going to last 2 minutes.
wouldn't.
No one who doesn't train.
I'm happy with that. Let's do it.
The one I'd be terrified of is just having to stand under a Pat Richards 70-metre kickoff. The ones that go into the stratosphere. I can feel my fingers dislocating just thinking about trying
Just
to
like
catch
Ben
one.
Hunt
But
in
you
the
must,
grand
there
final.
must have been some players,
yeah.
Pat, that you really didn't get on with over the years that just came back at you. You go, oh shit, not that one again, you know?
Not too much, really.
Okay.
I don't really have one sort of player or anything.
Yeah,
It's
like a running feud.
Not
No,
really
no,
a running
okay.
feud. Some guys did, but I never really looked for
Especially
a
for
fight. Like we talk about Michael Jordan, he went out looking for a fight
Yeah.
to
Did
get
he?
him up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
challenge himself and bring the best out of himself.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I was more focused on my own.
So you
little
were never
role
a
and-
niggle merchant,
Not really,
not
no.
a pest.
Not a pest.
No.
There was a few
Had
pests.
jokes about someone's wife or
Robbie
girlfriend.
Farah and those sort of guys love the niggle and the game.
Yeah, you can see his eyes. can't you?
Robbie
And
Farah.
that brings the best out of him and brings the best out of our team.
Benji's
too.
not that's he's like you, isn't he?
Benji's
Mr.
just
Nice Guy.
laid back,
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Nice Guy, and just
Yeah.
he's changed the way he plays from
Right.
when he started. He was all just off the cuff. Now he's just so clinical of
Yeah.
what he does.
Watching.
It's amazing to see the
Is it
transformation.
Isaac?
What about Topper Hallertau? Like, he didn't annoy you? He wasn't a bit too he did top.
Hallertau's the nicest guy ever. He gets the nickname of the topper because it's like Chris Lawrence has Rowdy as a nickname.
Yeah.
He's so quiet and so nice, and they're just good guys,
Rowdy.
really
I love it.
good blokes. And
Shut up, Chris.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's
So-
what they used to call Ashley Mallet, the Australian off-spinner.
Yeah, they
in the
did. That was
70s.
Rowdy
That was
Mallet.
Rowdy. He's very quiet. I mean, I guess the reputation for the two lunatics in your side were Bryce Gibbs and Liam Fulton, weren't they?
They were, yeah. Liam
The
Fulton.
Gibbinator.
The
Did he ever
Gibbinator.
date the races?
Sorry?
A big day at the races, remember? He
Yeah,
went off the
one big day
rails
at the
one day
races,
at the
yeah.
races.
That's
and
right,
it was
yeah.
24 hours of mayhem.
There would have been a few of them, yeah. You could get away with a bit more back then.
The trail of destruction left in his
were
wake.
were you at the reunion last year in Scully Park at Tamworth? There was an 05, a whole lot of 05 players turned up in Tamworth for the Tigers game last year.
Yeah, I was up there, yeah.
Because I remember seeing you'd see these West Tigers legends walking around, and they weren't double parked with beers. I think you were one of them. They were all quadruple parked. They had two
The
cans
four-packs.
in
I
each
know.
hand.
Yeah, one on fingers, yeah.
No, they're just like they're on top of each other,
Ah,
holding like that.
Yeah,
the top
that
one's
was-
open.
Yeah, that was me.
It was you. There was
Yeah,
Liam Fulton was there as
Fulton was
well.
up, that's right. So we're up there, and people are still, they love 2005. They're still giving us beers and drinks. Thanks, that was the best summer. Okay, thanks. Here we go. We'll drink that one.
Did you keep your jersey? And
Got my jersey,
got
got
all
my
that,
boots, got everything like that.
Are
Yeah.
you wearing the premiership ring?
Not now, no. We wear it when we catch up.
Yeah.
So we try to catch up. We're talking about doing something this year because it's
Yeah.
15 years this year.
Did you
So-
try, Pat?
No, I didn't.
You didn't. Gee, when
Some
we
of the boys did. It's hard. You don't really know what you sort of think that I'm gonna cry,
yeah,
but it's sort of
either
a
happens or
weird.
doesn't.
It's a weird sensation
Yeah,
when you're
yeah.
out there. You don't really know. That's why we all probably swore
It's
on telly.
Well, that was what I was going to say. That you came out with a different emotion. There was a series of interviews with Matty Johns, wasn't it?
I was the first one because I came off with my injury, and then Matty grabbed me straight away and threw it in front, and I'm like this, and I dropped an F-bomb, and I said sorry. At least I said sorry, and then there was maybe LaFranchi. He said a few more, and then
Yeah.
Benny Galea went bang, and
And
the
Chris
winner,
Harrington,
the
I
winner
think.
was Chris Harrington.
I know.
He was saying them like that, and didn't even bat an eyelid.
So it was an F fest.
Well, so you're a pioneer. You're a pioneer in
Yeah.
Australian broadcasting.
Yeah.
People can swear on mainstream television because of Pat Richards.
That's
right.
Like number 96,
And that's
right?
why we get given beers as well because of that reason.
Does anyone ever come back and say, thank you for 2004? I mean, I remember, and I mean, we'll talk about injuries. I mean, I was your player sponsor, and I always say they gave me the contract, and I was actually flying up to Brisbane. And at the beginning of the 2004 season, if I've got this correct, I opened it up, and there was a picture of you lying on Blue Tongue Stadium with a busted leg, right? Right. So, and they said,
Why that picture?
because it was just a preseason game and it was just in the papers, right?
Right,
So
okay.
and so the Tigers said, "Would you like to sponsor someone else?" They said, "I'm not going to abandon the guy because he can't play."
No.
And then they gave me Jason Moody, and then when Pat was fit again, I said, "Please, can I stick on to?" But no. But I remember being out at Campbelltown, and the Roosters put 40 on us in the first half in 2004.
Yep.
18 months later, we're winning, or less than 18 months later, we're winning the premiership. What was that? You know, I hate to use the word journey. How did it turn around?
Well, yeah, my Tigers journey, it started with, it's a bit up and down. So it started with the World Sevens. We won the World Sevens.
Yep.
So I'm like, how good's this? Loving the new change. I had a great pre-season, fittest I've been. Then our first trial match was up in Gosford. I dislocated my ankle, so I'm out for 5 months. First game back, we played the Dragons at Cogra. They put 50 on us. Week later, the Roosters put 56 on us.
Dear, oh
and I'm
dear.
thinking, what have I done
The
here?
pain.
And then we were slowly building. We had a really young group, and we just got better and better, and the rest is history. So
That night, I was actually with some Roosters fans, and about 4 seats along was a kid. I reckon he was 10.
Yeah.
And at about the 20-minute mark of the first half, he started crying. At the 30-minute mark of the first half, I joined him, and we just cried all the way
I
through.
think I joined him as well, about 35 minutes in.
Yeah, boy, oh boy.
I'd cry if I could say, Pat, all sport, what is your favourite all-time sporting moment ever?
Oh, I'm a big cricket tragic as well. I love all sports really. Just love big moments, you know. Like I don't know, it's hard to go past being involved in the 05 grand final.
Yes, I bet. Yeah.
You know, because it's not just, we're not an individual sport; it's a team sport, and you work so hard as a group.
Sure.
And to get there and you see the elation on some of the boys' faces and your family.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Did you watch the test?
The Test series.
Yeah, the cricket. The
Yeah,
documentary
definitely.
test?
I loved it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great, wasn't it?
It was
Yeah.
really
I was
good, wasn't it?
watching the Ashes this year. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Jimmy
Yeah.
Smith wanted me to bring up your cricket career. So you played for Parramatta, was it?
Fairfield, Liverpool.
Fairfield, Liverpool.
Bowl.
Fast bowler.
Fast bowler.
First grade.
Ooh, what sort of pace did you get? What sort of pace did you
Oh,
generate?
no one really got clocked back then.
Right.
But you know, I went to school. Michael Clark was at our school,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I was my first ever job was an indoor cricket umpire at Michael's father's indoor cricket centre. So we were
Okay.
playing indoor cricket all the way
His
through.
father had an indoor cricket centre?
Yeah.
No wonder.
Yeah, Michael was there every day and he was
Every day.
playing, and,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everyone saw, oh, this kid's going to go far.
And now he's designing actionwear, sportswear
yeah.
for PE.
And he does the Big Sports Breakfast.
So you said it was Jimmy Smith that asked, but wasn't it Brian Smith that suggested to you that maybe you should play cricket instead of rugby league at Parramatta? And
That's a bit nice, isn't
pretty
it?
much, yeah. Good old Brian, he's good at that. No, look, I loved being at Parramatta as a junior, and Brian was really good with me. So I had a couple of injuries there, it just didn't leave. I had a meeting with Sheensy, and I just said, oh look, I want to go on a new challenge, and that's why I left the Eels, and I haven't looked back.
Is it true that Brian Smith was overly school teacherly in his approach? Bit too much on detail?
Oh, a little bit. You
Yeah.
could probably say that. Looking
Conceptual.
back, a lot of
Yeah.
people from the outside say that, and it's probably right.
Like the text, I believe.
Yeah, he loves texting the old players.
We were talking in the first break about the injury that you sustained against the Dragons in the qualifying final. So, I mean, I remember going up to the Centennial Hotel, which a friend of mine calls Jurassic Park for reasons I won't go into. But I remember having a Crown Lager and going, I can't believe we're in the grand final,
la-di-da.
but I was feeling so badly for you because it looked terrible. How did it turn around over that week?
I was shattered because I'd already signed to go to England, go to Wigan after that. So I thought, no, it's over. My foot ballooned up straight away. I thought, she's all over. I was devastated. Happy the boys got through, and went home, and it wasn't like every day. I was 0% chance. My missus said, oh, let's just give it a crack, and I was just like, no, it's over. That's it. And then day by day, I was icing it around the clock, and it just got a little bit better. And then the next day, I had an X-ray just to see if it was broken. There was no break, so there was ligament damage in there. And then I had a meeting with Dr. Quar, and he sort of said, look, we could roll the dice here. Worst case, it does end your career. You might not play after this if you do some bad damage to it. What do you want to do? And I said, let's do it. So we needled it on the Saturday. And then I didn't realise, so my ankle felt okay, but I went to run and my knee was sore. So I didn't realise that that crack that I heard, I tore cartilage in that knee as well.
Oh, don't tell me.
So he's gone, righto, let's jab the knee. Bang. And then in ANZ Stadium there, I just thought, I can walk without any pain. I just felt this rush of emotion go through the body. And I was doing a couple of stride throughs down the tunnel there.
Yeah.
And I walked outside and Sheensy goes, how'd you go, mate? And I said, I'm in. And he looked at me like that for about a second. He goes, righto, go tell the boys. And I just went in and told the
so
boys.
this on the day?
The Saturday.
The Saturday, okay, yep.
So with the captain's run, I did a little bit. I didn't do any training all week. I did a couple of little shuttles, and then Sheensy said, righto, do a couple of dummy half scoots, and if you tell me you're good enough, you're good enough.
Right.
So I went in, the boys are sitting in the video room waiting for Sheensy to walk in. I just walk in, and they just go, like, where'd you go? And I said, I'm in, and the room just erupts.
Amazing.
It's like...
But what's the onset of that actually running on needles on injuries? What more damage done?
Well, there wasn't any more damage done in the end, luckily.
Okay.
But it's a weird feeling when you can't feel your knee or your ankle.
Yeah.
It's sort of like you're running on memory.
Yeah.
It's sort of like you
So
just...
what's telling what to do what?
So your proprioception's gone. You don't know where your leg is. Like
That's right. Yeah. You just...
Did you replicate the needles the next day, or was it still the same needles?
Yeah, no, I
hanging
had
over?
to,
So you
had to
do
do
the same
it.
ones.
Had to go and bash it, and then had some more at half time too.
Were you a subject of one of those like helicopter trying to spot footage of Pat Richards warming up, like Cooper Cronk stories?
It was a little bit like that,
Yeah.
yeah, mate.
Yeah.
They were following us back then. I mean,
Yeah.
it'll be a different story nowadays with all the social media and whatnot. There was none of that back then, but they were ringing up. They rang up my mum's. They found our house number and they rang up like they're asking, trying to get information, and the journos were. So it was just a crazy time, and luckily to just get through it, be on the field, and then I feel like I got rewarded in a way. I got through the whole preparation part. I got on the field. I didn't really do much in that grand final other than score that try. So I feel like I got through it, and that was my reward. And
Yeah.
Did you score a try in the grand final?
I think I did. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
Roll the
That's
tape. Roll the tape.
Can you take us through it, Chris, step by step?
Well, no, I could, but I always think that Pat should talk about that because I guess everyone would love to hear about how that unfolded.
Is it true though that sometimes because you've got video footage of something that your memory plays tricks with you? You don't remember what it was like but the video's telling you this?
Yeah, that's right. There's a couple of little things about that play, like Jonathan Thurston. He starts the play, so he kicks it.
Yeah.
Anthony DeFranchi then takes him out.
Yeah.
So nowadays they would have went back and had a look at that. They might have called it off.
Oh, my
Right.
goodness.
So he takes him out, and then because he takes him out, Benji's on the wing,
Yeah.
and because he's on the wing was because he had bad shoulders, and I was defending in the centres because I had a bad ankle. So normally I'm back there getting the kick. So everything just was
Reverse
changed
itself.
around.
Yeah, yeah.
And Benji was so good at what he did.
Yeah.
Travis Norton tries to go out and put a shot on Brett Hodgson. He just
Yeah.
draws him, puts Benji through, and Benji explodes through that gap, which Jonathan Thurston would have been. And then I was
You were there.
coming back late because I'm going, all right, what am I doing here?
Quick.
I better start now. Running on memory, and I kick forward, and I just run, and then I before I knew it, I was over.
Your mum and dad both alive then?
Mum, no, my father wasn't. Yeah,
Okay.
Mum was
So I'd
there.
love to have seen the family household at that point.
Yeah, so crazy time.
Yeah.
Scored the try. Didn't realise the flick pass happened until they've replaying it at the Leafs Club a couple of
Yeah,
days
right.
There's
later.
only one flick pass, right?
Oh, so
In
you
history?
So
There's
you
only
just
one
caught
in
the ball.
history,
You
right?
didn't realise what he'd done. You were just
Well,
running
we
and caught the
just
ball.
caught the ball. Just thought he just passed it. Just stuck the hand out, and it stuck. But that's like I said before. The way we played was just, and Tim Sheens promoted us. Said, boys, I don't mind you just doing anything out there on the field as long as you practice it here on
Yep.
training.
Yeah.
And we'd always do that with basketball passes and flick passes. And,
Yeah.
and Benji just played. He just didn't have a care
Must
in the
be
world.
Still confident, so.
The night before, he was staying with the boys, and he come home at like 1 a.m. with McDonald's.
Yeah.
He had no
It's not
care
quite
about
Johnny
anything.
Raper, piston mood, playing
Yeah.
for Australia.
in a
back
top hat.
And let's not forget the fact that you still had work to do. Rod Jensen ran.
Yeah, I got the ball, and I'm running towards the thing, and I thought if I don't Rod Jensen, I can feel him coming across. And I used to at the start of that year, I was a right winger, and I got a left hand fend,
Right.
so I'd never palmed anyone off with my right hand before.
So the ball's on the left arm?
So I've got the ball, I'm running
Yeah.
right, and I look him, see him come over, so I change, and then I see him, and I stick the old fend out.
He
And
just looked
luckily,
like Terminator then, didn't he?
Almost Melbourne-esque. And what was the score when you came off?
I don't know.
No, because I always say I was really calm, except for the moment where I thought Pat had run over the dead ball line. I just got a little bit emotional at that particular point in time. But we were up by 12, and then the Cowboys score. And Josh Hannay, one of the 5 interim coaches in the NRL right now, he really rushed that conversion because time was running down. And then, of course, as I love always to hear when they're running footage of Todd Payton, probably like to replace Josh Hannay, ironically, up at the Cowboys.
Yeah.
The big hombres score the final try and we win by 14. And one thing that really interests me on the fan this week, Vossi interviewed Benji Marshall. He had no idea what the score was. Do you know
Yeah.
what the score was?
What at that stage?
In the grand final. Do you know what the
30
final?
to 16.
Yeah. Benji just goes.
He didn't know.
He just goes, "We got the win."
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters, yeah.
Just one other thing.
I only know that because in 2013, my last game for Wigan in the grand final, we won 30 to 16.
There you go.
Right, okay.
Well, I mean, I think we should just roll into a break probably now and come
Yeah.
back and talk to Pat a little bit more. What do you
Yep,
think?
done. Let's do
Sure.
it. Fire up.
Now things are getting a bit fired up.
Welcome back, Dennis Carnahan.
Oh, thank you.
Smiling. He's a smiling winner this week.
Yeah.
Chris, that smile looks a bit disingenuous to me.
I think I'm out of my pain
I
now,
think
Steve.
and this is a question I would like to ask Pat Richards, who's our guest right now. West Tigers, you say that mathematical, we know that. I know that feeling last Friday when St George were mathematically ahead till 6 minutes to go to potentially be in the top 8 and then gone with all the possession in the world. But what's happened this year? I mean, Madge is a competent guy. Has he lost the dressing room, as they say? Is it just a talent thing? Is it just haven't got the cattle? What's the story?
Oh, it's a culmination of a lot of things.
Always a combination.
Madge is the right guy.
Yeah.
He coached me before when I was at Wigan.
Yeah.
I know what he's like.
Yeah.
He's he wants to build a club. They've got to stick with him.
He's solid.
He's very solid.
Yeah.
A few injuries. Losing Harry there for a big part of our run. He's been sensational. Jacob's come back. Look, it's tough comp.
But you
Tough
see,
comp every week.
Teams like West Tigers and St George and sometimes Canberra, we accept all that. It's human nature. Things go wrong. It's a lottery. It's throw the dice. And then you got Melbourne. And then you got the Roosters now. They don't seem to play by the same rules. You know?
Do I have to go through the concept of overs and unders with you yet again, Stephen?
I know. Carry on.
You mentioned Madge. Was he your coach at both Super League Grand Final wins?
No, he wasn't. So he was there for 2 years, 2010 and 11.
Right.
So we won his first year there. We won the comp, and then a year later we won the Challenge Cup, and then he left. And I thought he's going to go back to the NRL and he's going to win a comp, and he did.
Yeah, he did.
So the proof's in the pudding. He can coach.
Yep.
He's a great fella, and there will be success at the Tigers. Unfortunately, it's not this year, but I know the club's really building, and they showed really good promise this year. So, we're not too far away.
Yeah.
What significance do you put in this concept of the centre of excellence. We always feel that the centre of excellence, almost guarantees things aren't going to go that well. But then you look at the Penrith Academy right now. What's the setup out there at Concord for the Tigers? Is it demountables or?
Yeah, so they're in demountables at the moment, so in a temporary facility. The end of next year, the Centre of Excellence will be complete.
Right.
It's going to be amazing. So it's going to be a one-stop shop there. All the boys can go there, and it's going to be really attract players. And the setup I had at Wigan was first class, and it really makes a big difference. And get our local juniors right, and we can keep hold of these guys like Tedesco and Moses and whatnot.
How many games a year do you think you can play there?
Well, it's just going to be a training facility,
Just a
really.
training facility, right.
We're one of those teams that unfortunately, we got a fair few home grounds, so we don't just have the
that's
one
really-
like Penrith and whatnot. So
yeah.
we're a bit all over the place, but so are our fans. So we like to get around to
I enjoy the travel.
Those instinctive things that you do, like kicking the ball, getting out the bit of grass, passing one. Do you still yearn for it? I mean, the weekends, do you go and do it? Do you?
Not anymore. I've got different things to do now. Like I've got a 13-year-old son now. He loves cricket, so I'm throwing the ball to him all the time. And it's just different, but
Yeah.
you got to love what you do.
13 is he?
He's 13.
Yeah, my 15-year-old loves spin bowling.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I love footy. I love kicking a footy. I love training for it, and the more I did, the better I got with it. So it's just not rocket science. The more you do, and
Just on your kicking, one of the legacies of your career will be the extraordinary things you did with your feet, right? So that field goal that you kicked from the sideline against Bradford? Was that
St. Helens.
St. Helens. So there was one where you kicked a field goal against Bradford to cement the greatest comeback in Super League history. But the one that you kicked from the sideline that everyone sees on YouTube, what was that circumstance?
I don't know. It's a long story, right?
Yeah.
So there was a rule in place in the Super League that if a team knocked on and you got the ball, you sort of had a free play.
Yes.
Right? So I could chip over the top if I wanted.
Yes.
And regather, and if it didn't play off, we got the scrum feed and play on. So I always said to myself, if someone does that to me and I get that ball anywhere inside that half, I'm just going to have a crack at a field goal.
Yeah. Okay.
But it wasn't the case. We ran the ball on the last. We're inside the half. And then we ran the ball. The centre sort of threw it back to me, and I just went, I either put a bomb up here or I have a crack.
Have a crack.
It was 16 all.
Has anybody else done that?
I had no idea. But as soon as I hit it, it was one of them ones that very rarely you'll hit one and you just go bang, that's over.
Bam.
You know, I hit it sweet as a
So
nut.
exactly where were you on the field?
So, well, every year it goes past, it gets another 5 metres further. But it was.
Were you in your
It was
defensive
on the
half?
I was on the sideline in their half.
In their- so you were in the attacking
About
half.
40 metres out
Right.
from the sideline.
On the sideline.
So, yeah, about
Have
that.
you done the triangulation for the exact distance?
I haven't.
Let's do that now.
Because, well, it's interesting you should say that because when you came back to play that second stint for the Tigers in 2014, first of all, you scored a try with the first touch in
Yeah.
your comeback. I mean, Sonny Bill won't do that. I mean, Sonny Bill will be lucky to touch the ball.
No.
And you
You
did a
protective equipment too?
and then you did a dropout restart, which they've measured at 72 metres, world record. We're happy to say that.
Oh, well, I'm claiming it.
A
Guinness going to give me a Guinness out of that or what?
a 54-metre penalty goal.
Yeah.
And you, as far as football, I think you're the first Australian to kick 1,000 career goals or something like that.
Over 2 comps, yeah.
Over 2 comps, extraordinary. And I suppose again we talk about the legacy. Your kickoffs. I mean, you got into the science of the kicking tee, didn't you? What was happening there? Because you mentioned, I think a little bit before when Ben had that trouble in 2015. Cole Felt is probably one of your disciples, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I was seeing Andrew Johns playing around with it years ago. And then Graham Arnold came. He was our kicking coach in 2005. So we were kicking goals. There was Brett Hodgson. No one could get a shot because he never missed.
Okay.
Benji was kicking them then, Scotty Prince, myself. So we were training all the time. We had 4 guys there really pushing each other.
Yeah.
And Graham Arnold was just playing around with the ball once on a kickoff. He said, right, put the ball flat on the tee and then just scoop it up like that and you'll be able to...
When you say flat, you mean point down?
So, I mean, if that's the kicking tee there,
Yeah.
right, the ball, instead of doing that,
That.
you do that. So
Oh,
the ball
okay.
is dead
Almost
flat.
perpendicular. Yeah.
Wow.
So now you sort of get under it and you
Yeah.
scoop it and the
Yeah.
ball will just spin perfectly back.
Okay.
And I played around with the short kickoff. So if I just kicked it, it would just come up and spiral and go 10 metres.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
use that as my short kickoff.
Yeah.
And then I just played around with that more and more, and then I was able to just do my long one, and I got a really big boot, and I can hit it up high, and
Yeah.
made it as high and ugly as possible.
There's a beauty in that, isn't there?
Oh, it's they talk about boxing being the sweet
The
science.
sweet science, I know.
And maybe just one last question, Pat, before we return to the lunacy that is the Canberra Raiders. We're all immersed in rugby league here. We live it, we eat it, we drink it, we breathe it. What's it like in a community like Wigan? You said to me when you left in 2005, you said, football's not everything to me. I see this as an opportunity to see the world. And you took your family there. And when I saw you when you came back, you said, we did that. We went to Europe and whatever.
Went to Wigan, saw the world.
So it became a platform to see Europe. But how good would that be now? But what's it like? You said people give you beers here in Tamworth. What's it like in Wigan?
Oh, they love their rugby league. They're especially over there. It's if you go to school in Wigan, you support Wigan.
Yeah.
You don't. There's none of that where my son went to school here, and in his class there was Canberra Raiders, Broncos,
Yeah.
Manly. That's the big difference is that you are there, and it's just inbred in
toxic,
you.
isn't it?
You stay. Yeah,
I got an older son who
club.
goes to the Brisbane Broncos. Toxic in the family.
Yeah,
It doesn't work at all.
it just wouldn't
Is
happen.
he in the will still?
Hey?
Is he in the will?
Well, now he's feeling the pain. It's
Yeah.
actually cemented him onto rugby league more. He usually goes, you didn't deserve that win. I go, well, hello.
Yeah, so they love their footy. They appreciate guys going over there and really sticking at it. Some guys who go over there and don't perform. My first year over there wasn't great. So I had surgery after the grand final in 05 and I went over there and didn't have a great start. So I had to really knuckle down and perform.
But they stuck with you too.
They did, yeah, and that was fantastic. Still got friends there. I had flights booked to go this Christmas, but I had to cancel that with obviously coronavirus. So I'll get back one day.
Jesus. Okay.
Look, on behalf of all rugby league fans, Pat, thank you very much. It's been a terrific career. And now, apart from the stuff you're doing with the Tigers, what are you doing right now? You want to give something a shout out?
So I work for United Forklift and Access Solutions now. I'm in sales, so sell
What do they do?
boom lifts and scissor
Probably do
lifts.
forklifts and scissor
Okay.
lifts.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
right.
we do all that. So if you need to get off the ground, give me a call, guys.
Yes.
But I'm also working with the West Tigers Foundation, so I got a foot in the door back at the club.
what do they do?
So I'm passionate. It's West Tigers Foundation is a part of the club that they raise money for the heritage part of it. So we get
Right.
ex-players involved in doing certain things in
Okay.
the community, etc. And a portion of that as well is elite development. So Madge can draw on that to buy some new gym equipment if they
Yeah.
want. So
Yeah.
it's just really growing and it's great to be part of.
How long's that been around for?
2018.
2008. Oh, it's brand new, nearly.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I'm on board there. So that's
Okay.
great.
Oh, you are? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just before we move on, Pat, can I just say, rugby league field is 68 metres wide. Half of that is 34. You're at the 40-metre line. If you square 34, you get 1,156. Square 40, you get 1,600. Add those together, 2,756. You take the square root of that, 52.49. That was your kick.
We
With
said
simple
54, 52.
52.49
Now, remembering, of course, it's cleared the crossbar. So there's a little bit of extra.
Extra.
And I'm assuming you've gone from the left, you've gone to the far right of the post. So it's probably a little bit further.
So what'd you say? 53 and a half?
I think 54 is a
54 would be
safe,
a roundabout figure.
safe bet.
Are you
Okay.
are you in a relationship?
She studies maths and physics.
And listen, if Pat was just mentioning his current employer, I don't know if you guys are feeling hungry after this, but
Oh, yes, absolutely. What have you got for us? Have you got any Tetsuyas? I'll go from course number 1 to 6 only.
I've got something better, and
Have
that's
you? What do you
Doughboy
got?
Pizza have come on
Doughboy?
board as a sponsor of the Fire Up Squad Australia.
Do you know much about their sort of secrets? What goes into either the dough?
We
or
don't
the-
get that, surely. They're not going to give us that.
It's all fresh.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's all locally sourced from sustainably minded producers, which I think is very important.
Yeah,
It's not
absolutely.
easy to say sustainably minded.
No.
Sustainably minded.
That goes through,
sustainably
thank you,
minded.
Dennis. It goes from the dough through to the Doughboy homemade pizza sauce.
Yes, yes.
You can get gluten-free,
Ooh.
spelt, which I never understand what that is, but
It's
it
an
sounds
ancient grain.
delicious. Thank you. Or thin and crispy, which is me. The crispy base. That's their traditional thing.
We've all discussed with the Italian food can bring down the biggest man. Wayne Bennett, Paul Vaughan. They will do anything for Italian food, and we
Yes.
know that pizzas have got the hearts of the world.
Yes.
Everywhere you go. And Doughboy, the hearts of us.
They are, and they have their locations in Bondi, Artarmon and Randwick. Get online, doughboy.com.au. There's a special product code.
Yeah.
Have a guess what it is. Fire up! You got it. And I think if you enter it into caps or in lower case, it'll still work and you'll get
Exclamation
20%
mark?
off. And they've got no exclamation
No
mark, just
exclamation
fire
mark.
up.
Okay, right.
FIREUP. 20% off. Home delivery available.
Wow.
Locations Bondi, Artarmon and Randwick.
Can we do that?
We can. And I was actually at the opening of the original Doughboy Pizza store back in the early 2000s.
Of course you were. Is anyone surprised by that?
where we took on the Penrith Panthers, and I believe Johnny Wilson might have scored the winning try, if I'm remembering that correctly.
Was this the Toto reunion? Was that were they there as well? What?
Toto, of course.
Anybody from
was there.
Emerson, Lake and Palmer there?
No, well, it's funny you should say that. Yesterday was the 50th anniversary of Emerson,
Oh,
Lake
yeah,
and Palmer debuting at the Isle of Wight.
Is that right? Yeah, yeah.
Toto, on the other hand,
and
is
Robert
some-
Fripp played at the opening.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
Doughboy, yeah. Okay.
Toto, is, by the way, is a band who did lose a drummer through a bizarre gardening accident.
Righto. Yeah.
But in the time remaining, and there's not much time remaining, I'm assuming, Canberra Raiders have lost their sponsor, Dennis.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. The Huawei has.
Can I just
has left.
say,
Yep.
we love the Chinese people, but the
Very much so.
Chinese Communist Party's on the nose. We know that. Big time. Half the world is going, what are they up to? They're up to no good. And it
Well-
surprised me after we'd banned the 5G network of Huawei that they were still there. That shows a
They're-
lot of patience and grit and support.
It
and
does because
loyalty.
it was a 10-year sponsorship,
Yeah.
and they're cutting the last year only, and it was
Right.
3 or 4 years
I was
ago.
amazed they lasted that long.
It was
though.
3 or 4 years. I was shocked. I thought
Yeah.
as soon as they've cut the 5G,
But they
they're
don't
going
care
to
if
go.
they're liked or not, do they?
Well, it's. Let's have a listen to a list. I've got a list I was preparing earlier. These are the clubs that Huawei sponsors. See
Yes.
if you can get the common trend.
Okay.
Arsenal Football Club, they're in London, England. Atletico Madrid, they're in Madrid, Spain. AFC Ajax, Amsterdam, capital of Holland, Netherlands.
Yeah.
AC Milan,
Yeah.
Paris Saint-Germain in Paris. Galatasaray, they're in Istanbul. The Washington football team, formerly known as the Washington, what was
Yes.
that? A politically inappropriate name. Club America soccer team from Mexico City.
Yeah.
Santa Fe in Bogota. Club Atletico River Plate,
Oh,
Buenos
Dennis.
Aires. All of these are capital cities.
Yes.
They don't go to any regional
How,
cities. They
Chris?
don't go to
So
Newcastle.
there is a great cultural centres of the world,
Yeah.
and you're trying to connect them to Canberra?
No. But Canberra. No, I'm not saying they're great cultural centres. I'm saying they are
Capital
capital
cities.
cities. They're the seat
Oh,
of
sorry,
parliament.
I see. Capital
They're the
cities,
seat of the
right.
people making the decision
And
who
Dennis,
puts in the 5G
they've got this thing
network.
called the Belts and Roads Initiative, where they're trying to take over the world by investment. Perhaps there's something similar about trying to take over the communications of capital cities around the world.
And aren't we
possible.
lucky? Aren't we-
Wellington, Phoenix, even New Zealand, even poor little New Zealand.
Anyway, they're gone.
Well, and mainly because Ricky Stewart's been doing some research.
Yes.
Pete Evans,
Pete Evans.
Taylor Winterstein.
What, the chef?
That's right. David
The
Hickey's the
conspiracy
answer.
theorist.
Yeah, 5G, he wants nothing to do with it.
So he had a word in the Sherlock year of Ricky Stewart saying, mate, this 5G stuff, they'll be stealing your secrets, and before you know it, the Gold Coast will get them. Is that what they're saying?
The Canberra
Mel's
bubble.
already gone there.
The Canberra are actually training in a bubble that prevents any of that 5G stuff getting through.
Aluminium?
Yeah, the tinfoil hats on
Tinfoil
and
hats,
training.
right.
And no wonder they're contending for the premiership.
Right. They've heard. They know. Okay, so that's gone. Chris, what's happening on the weekend? Any games you're looking forward to?
Well,
I won't ask Dennis. I know what he's looking for.
I think there's a blockbuster tomorrow night, isn't there? Oh no, sorry, what are we talking about? Well, Thursday night.
Yeah.
Which is
Sunny Bill?
no. What's the blockbuster?
It's
Melbourne and
Thursday is 1st versus 15th.
yeah. No, that's not what I'm thinking of.
That's
Who's
Panthers.
Melbourne playing? There's a big game.
The Storms are playing the Bunnies.
There you go.
There you go, Redfern
There
Pat.
you go. That'll tell a big story.
How
What
are
do
you
you think of
feeling,
that
Redfern
one,
Pat? How are you feeling about that one?
Yeah. What do you? What's your instinct, Pat?
Let's start at Pat. Brisbane and Penrith.
Oh, Penrith.
Okay,
By a
so
million.
Newcastle versus Cronulla.
That's the game of the
Seventh,
round, isn't it?
eighth.
Well, you got to see who's in that Newcastle side. Are they going to bounce back? Cronulla keep turning up.
Yeah.
Can I give a shout out to Aaron Woods? Like, obviously, I haven't raised the whole issue of the Big Four and the Cleary issues because I wanted to enjoy your visit here with us on Fire Up Squad Australia. But I thought Aaron Woods was caught in the crossfire a bit and had that unfortunate period at Canterbury and it took a while to find his feet at the Sharks, but
Yeah.
he is playing
Yeah.
through
What's
the
the
roof right
status
now.
of his hair, though, Chris?
It's
I think that was part of the problem for a while.
it's
wasn't
almost manscaped,
it?
Stephen. If
almost
I can.
manscaped.
if I can just give a shout out to the
If he-
Lawnmower
if he really
3.0.
wants to win, Ryan Grant from the Sydney Football Club, he's been copping a whole lot of that mullet action.
Right.
As we proved in rugby league, the mullet is king. You got to
Josh
have the mullet to
Papali
win.
has a mullet. Josh Papali's
Sorry,
mullet.
Pat, you're out of the picture here.
Yeah, you don't.
He's not playing
you're
anymore,
not a
doesn't he?
Montana.
Doesn't matter.
I used to have a
I know.
mullet.
Did
No, he's in a relationship. It doesn't
So
matter.
the thing is, Aaron Woods, you talk about Aaron Woods. Now, I have a little issue with your mate Aaron Woods, and it was a game you played in Canberra where poor old David Shillington, it was his 200th game, and he got a little
is he
bit...
the lovable, cuddly David
Lovable
Shillington?
the pillow they call him, and he got a little bit over aroused. And Robbie Farah, your mate, ripped the ball out. You could see the hand ripping the ball out, and he was called for a knock on by the horse, Jared Maxwell. Oh, you knocked on. And so he's angry, and he's just whacked his head against Aaron Woods' chest, and Aaron Woods has gone, mate, if you're going to headbutt me, hit my effing head. So Aaron Schiller went,
did.
all right, had a
mate.
go. Woodsy, of course, is ducked out of the way, just started laughing, going, he headbutted me.
And missed.
Schiller gone. Shillo, not 10, gone. First send off in 10 years. Shillo, Woodsy.
Right. Yes.
That's 1-0 Woodsy, really.
Yeah, 100%. That's as good as Benny Elias against Mario in the 86.
So
finals.
Pat, Melbourne versus South Sydney.
I've got to go to Storm.
Storm.
I can't go past them at the moment.
This, by the way,
they're firming.
This, by the way, is the first time we've actually looked at the
Done
game
it around.
on this show. Oh, yeah, this is great.
We're going to grab the moment.
This is fantastic.
This is a tough one, isn't it? The Titans should do Bulldogs, shouldn't they?
The dogs are due.
I've
Aren't
tipped
they?
the Dogs.
Dogs try hard. They turn
They
up
try
every week.
hard. They're gonna turn one around.
Do you think-
I think Brisbane are going to finish last.
Oh,
Yeah. Do you think the Titans are going to be the Queensland team next year? I mean, they seem to put some
They're
pieces
doing
in
well.
place.
They're doing well.
Is that because of Mal?
They've locked in the coach. They've got Mal, Fafita. It's looking up.
Yeah.
Anthony LaFranchi's there now.
Good on them.
He is there, absolutely. There's a good Tigers connection.
I'm going to ask Dennis this. Sorry, Roosters versus Raiders, Dennis.
Heart or head? My loins say the Raiders.
Please, Dennis.
My loins
Please let
say the
them
Raiders.
fulfill
I'm
your
begging.
desire.
Will Hudson Young be in the blue state of mind or the redhead state of mind?
Boy, gee, so he's one who the arousal over performance. He nudges that you hard, and he did that on the weekend. He got a little bit too aroused. The performance dropped. Put the bumpers up. Ricky hoiked him. I'm
Okay.
going to say Raiders. I'm going to say
Raiders,
Raiders.
good on you. Me too. Manly versus West Tigers.
Tigers, surely.
Tigers.
I'm very
Please.
confident.
Please,
I'm very
Tigers,
confident.
please.
I mean, because basically we've gone to Dez's school. We're now training out of demountable, so we'll understand his psychology.
That's a
Hard enough.
demountable off, yeah.
And it could put you into ninth.
Yeah.
Which,
hey,
you know,
does
this is a big
Coda Nasa
prize.
still look after Sonny Bill? I haven't seen him.
Yes.
He does.
Oh yeah, remember they had the lunch down at Brighton Le Sands.
Yeah. Did you know when he stays
With
in
all those
five-star
cameras,
hotels,
yeah.
he sleeps on the floor?
Yeah, it keeps
Did
him
you-
hard.
Yeah.
Keeps him.
Okay.
You know the
Speaking of
definition of
arousal.
impossible is to go to Brighton Le Sands and have lunch and not order the seafood platter. That's just not possible.
New Zealand versus Parramatta.
Please, Vodafone versus
Just the
Parramatta.
Warriors, not New Zealand. Just the Warriors.
Do you
I
have
like New Zealand.
do you have a soft spot for the Eels, having repped there for 3 years?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I had a great time there. Also got I think Toddy's doing well there at the Warriors and what they've done. I hope they really get through. And
I got a close-up look at Toddy. Obviously, I've got a bit of affection to Canberra Raider. And I got a close-up look at him the other day, and he does look, in the flesh, he looks so much more like Ming the Merciless. Those eyebrows, they come up.
From Flash
It's like-
Gordon.
From Flash. He really does.
He's he of your era, and you're a good-looking man yourself, Pat. But he's very handsome, Todd. I reckon.
he is, yeah.
Does Pat need manscaping?
Well, have you heard about the Lawnmower 3.0, the latest in male manscaping hair management?
haven't.
It's another product. But,
Give me a rundown.
well,
That's Ming the Merciless and Flash Gordon,
Oh,
too.
yeah.
It's the same bloke, isn't it? It's the same bloke.
it's the penetrating eyes and
And it's that eye, it's the brow.
the brow,
It's the raised brow.
and also
Look
I
at suspicion.
I love the fact that he was always like a 5'8" in a props body. And it's good to see good-looking men come back into rugby league. I think
Absolutely.
Crichton from the Panthers,
yeah.
sensational, and Nico Hines,
Oh, the Storms.
Heath Ledger.
Yeah,
It's Heath Ledger
100%.
back.
The long, flowing blonde locks as well. He's got the
Who
lot.
didn't love two hands? Hey,
I have
forget the Joker.
a long story about going to see the movie Two Hands. I'll tell it
Should be
another
later.
time.
Finally, the Dragons versus the Cowboys. Come on, Pat.
Yeah, I might give you one there. I think
Good on you.
the Dragons might win that one. Oh, it's up there, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you were the coach of the Dragons,
It's got to be hard for them travelling from Townsville
It is.
in a day. on a
Did you see
day.
the stats? That Penrith this season has travelled 900 kilometres, and I think I've got it written right here. They have travelled 975 kilometres this season.
Yeah.
The Cowboys have travelled 15,786
Oh.
But
kilometres.
when you put
Wow.
how far the teams have travelled, the list,
Yeah.
ranging from 900
It
to
matches,
15,
does it?
you put that against injuries,
Yeah.
and particularly the teams have travelled most, and this is the NRL physios thing. You don't get oxygen, you don't get recovery. You're sitting in a plane. You've got Josh Papali, 120
Yeah,
kilos,
yeah.
with a big Ferrari motor that goes at 31.7 kilometres an hour. Those legs need to spread out. They need to stretch. They need to roll. It's bad for soft tissue to be sitting in an unoxygenated plane, low humidity, to recover for a
to
distance.
say nothing of a bus.
A bus,
Yeah.
up and
Crazy.
down from Campbelltown to Canberra.
You know what it's like when you travel or even somewhere, you get off and you don't feel
Yeah.
great,
No,
do you?
no,
You need to recover.
And then they get off and he does an ankle tap on you. A little smarter. So you're trying to get your luggage, you know?
In fact, if we're doing housekeeping, I need to apologise to Jamal Fogarty. I got his name wrong because I said he'll always be remembered as the guy that Josh Papali ran down. But no, he'll be remembered as the guy who scored the winning try against the Dragons last week. And if we're doing numbers, 971 days since Cameron Smith's first testimonial and counting.
Is that the same number of kilometres the Panthers have done?
It's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
And his current... And
We wish him many more.
Yes, and Simon Walsh, and we want to shout out the Firebrook Facebook listeners. We're going to reach out about the sounds of your rugby league club and do a segment on that probably next week. And there'll be a competition to name a Doughboy NRL themed pizza. So it's all happening out on the Facebook.
Okay.
But Simon Walsh pointed out that Cameron Smith's current Supercoach value, or should I say Cameron Smith, $666,600. Almost
so we got
666.
6 to go.
666. But is it a coincidence? I think
no,
not.
I think not. No. Have you checked in his hair, the tattoo? No.
You know.
What about an ibis?
It's not a tattoo, it's a birthmark.
All Australian ibis pizza.
That's a good idea.
Ibis meat.
We
chicken.
Bin chicken pizza.
You can see up here, Pat, we helped launch the Turramurra Rugby League Football Club.
Hasn't actually got any players or teams, but it's got a logo.
Turramurra bin chickens.
Oh, and breaking news, Sonny Bill Williams, number 17.
There you go.
There you go.
Hey, Pat, thanks very much for coming. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
My-
It's
our
always
pleasure,
good.
our
It's
pleasure.
Do you know
always
what
good
just
to talk a bit
happened?
of
Do you have
footy.
any idea what just happened?
Good times. That's what happened.
Thanks so much for joining us, Pat. We really appreciate it.
No worries.
Cause I'm all fired up, I'm all fired up and lonesome. I got a chip on my shoulder, I'm acting just a little too tough.